my fellow comic book collectors, this is going to be a really, really great unboxing. I have just one package, and it's not that big, but it has a bunch of great comics in it. What happened was way back when, like going back a few months now, I did an interview with Streyflexin. And if you haven't checked that interview out, you should definitely go and check that interview out, because he is just such a great guy. And he has some pretty major books. He showed probably one of the rarest Grail books. And he also showed a Captain America 1. He showed some pretty big books. So we got to talking afterwards, and he said, oh, he had some books back at his place that he was potentially going to let go. And I was like, oh, okay, well, I'd be interested in seeing what you have. So I went to his place, and he has a really amazing collection of books. Some were being already sold, some were available, some were like in his personal collection. And I was like, oh, I'd be interested in that. I'd be interested in that. And some he was like, I'm not selling those ones. And I was like, oh, but he did sell me some really amazing books. And that is what's in this collection. It is just 6 books, but they're all pretty major books. Okay, so let's get into it. Let's open it up. So he packed it really well. Didn't have to go very far, but here's the books. And just do a little bit unwrapping. But these are some pretty major books. I was pretty excited to get them because they're fairly expensive. So it took me a few months just to make all the payments towards it. But he was very nice about that. He's like, oh yeah, you can make payments. It's okay. I was like, oh, cool. So because they are big books, it's just like, I couldn't afford it all at once. But he allowed me to make the payments. So that was really nice of him. And if you haven't checked out Streyflexin, definitely check him out on Instagram, because he does put out a lot of great stuff on Instagram. Like, you can see some pretty amazing books on his Instagram account. Okay, so we're going to start out with something small. He just kind of threw this in because I was always, I'm always trying to get a deal. So sometimes, I don't think he had the flexibility on the price, but he had the ability to just kind of throw in an extra book. So this was the extra book that he threw in. And this is Coco Comics number 14. And it's just one of those ones where it's kind of like the, kind of racist, like African tribal thing. It's much better shape than I thought it was. The mylar makes it look really nice. So, the typical like tribal African look. And even the little tiger is debatable about how culturally sensitive that is. Just a really interesting kids book. So not super valuable. That was just a throw in. Now we're getting into the bigger books. So the first one is Camera Comics, and this one is kind of like a cool key. It's like, punching the Nazi kind of book. It's the first appearance of this character. Her name was Linda Lenz. Sort of a interesting name for a camera girl. And basically it's an interesting book because it kind of goes through the, it's like a photo book inside. And it just shows like, life in the U.S. military. So very interesting book. So this is Camera Comics number 3. And this book has been recently kind of hot. So very interesting book. That book is like $400 to $600 book, even though it's low grade. It's pretty expensive. Then this next book, this next raw book, is definitely a Grail book. This was actually, I believe, the most expensive in this collection. It is Spirit number 21. This is considered one of the good girl art grails. So this is a Will Eisner cover. and it's just, it's it's like very sexy, good girl art cover. Now, if you this is sorry, 22. I always say I got the number wrong. It's issues 20, 21, and 22 that are considered kind of like the big three books for Will Eisner, Good Girl Art. And this is just a really great one. Girl in the red dress, putting the dagger in her stocking, or I'm not sure if I think it looks like she's putting it into her stocking. Just a typical femme fatale kind of cover. And and the colors on it are quite sharp. I mean, there is a tear here, but for the most part, this is probably a 3. I would say a 3.35. A very nice looking copy of this book, just really pretty. So really great Good Girl art. This is one of my favorite Good Girl art covers, actually. So I'm pretty excited to have this one in my collection. So yeah, The Spirit, number 22. And that book, is like a 2,000 to 3,000. Sometimes I've seen it actually go for 4,000. It's a pretty pricey book, and even in low grade, it goes for big money. Okay, so this next book is this was one of the there was 3 raw books, and then there was 3 slabs. This first slab, again, this was almost like a throw-in. He was he had it really cheap. It's Mystic, number 21, and it's a restored copy, but it's low grade, so the restoration really doesn't impact the price too much. But it is a classic cover. So it's the one where it's the skeleton bride and skeleton husband. He's missing his head. And it's the honeymooners. And it's a Bill Everett cover. And it's just classic pre-code horror from Marvel, Atlas Comics at the time. So yeah, just a really great classic cover. So these kind of bride ones and skeleton ones are kind of ones that are sought after by pre-code horror collectors. So this is I'm not sure if you can really see. I'm just going to zoom in as much as I can so you can kind of see the great skeleton. Just really great skeleton bride there. So Mystic Comics number 21. And the next one is interesting book. This is one that you wouldn't think is anything really super important, just based on the title. But it is one that is a major key, and it's quite rare. I believe there's less than 20 of these on the census. This is Tally Ho Comics, and it's non-numbered issue. And this just happens to be the first published artwork by Frank Frazetta. Frank Frazetta is considered to be one of the masters of the Golden Age, and this is one of those books that is highly sought after. Now, here's the weird thing about this book. The interior art was done by Frank Frazetta. There was work that was in there by him. But there's controversy about this book. The character, this little snowman dude, was created by Frank Frazetta. So there's question about whether or not this little part here and here were done by Frank Frazetta. And a lot of people say that it was. So it might be not only the first interior art by Frank Frazetta, but it might also be the first cover art by Frank Frazetta. And that's what the controversy is, whether or not this is both the interior or if it's both interior and exterior art by Frank Frazetta, or if it's just the interior that he did. But CGC denotes it the following way. First professional comic work by Frank Frazetta as John Gionta's assistant. I'm terrible at names, by the way. So just a really kind of the major key, getting the first, it's sort of like a first appearance, but it's first artist appearance, and that's another thing that a lot of collectors go after. And this Tally-Ho Comics is just really rare find and kind of a major one. A lot of people chase after this book. I only know 2 people that have this book, and the other one is Cantonese Comic Kid, and he has a copy of this as well. So yeah, so really great book. Tally-Ho Comics from 1944. I believe Frank Frazetta was like, I think he was like 15 or something like that. He was pretty young when he was in there, when he did that artwork. He was, you know, just a child basically. Okay, so this next book is in really rough shape, but it is a major book. And I'll explain all the defects about this book, but it is such a great book to have. One of my favorite villains for comics in all is the Joker. I actually think he's possibly the coolest villain of all time. His first appearance is in Batman 1, and that book is just incredibly expensive. However, in Batman 1, the Joker does not appear on the cover. It's not until Batman 11 that Joker appears on the cover in the Batman title. Well, he made actually an earlier cover appearance in Detective Comics, and his first cover appearance is this book. And I'll show you, this book is really rough. So this is a 0.5, green label, which is crazy. Yeah, so this is the Joker right here. And this is one of those ones where it actually took a while before it was recognized properly as the Joker's first appearance, because there was some debate, oh, is this really the Joker? Because it doesn't look like the traditional Joker that we know with the big face and stuff. You can't really see his face that well. But if you read the story inside, it confirms that this is in fact the Joker. And now this book, and the reason I say it's in really rough shape, is if you look here, somebody has actually cut a Robin out of the picture. You can see what they did is they replaced it with a photocopy to replace the fact that Robin has been cut out. So it's kind of a messed up book. But because it's a messed up book, I was able to get it for an affordable price. Just so you know, a 0.5 grade recently sold for $4,000. A 0.5 grade. This is a 0.5 grade green label. I don't like, it doesn't, let's see why it says green label. First page married, color copy piece attached to front cover with tape, back cover and 2 center wraps missing. It's just like, so you got the back cover missing. It's in really rough shape. Effects story, front cover and first and 32nd page detached, incomplete. So it is a 0.5 grade, like a 0.5 grade is incomplete anyways, but this one is in really rough shape, even for a 0.5, which is pretty sad. So because of that, I was able to get it for half price of the previous 0.5 sale. So I paid $2,000 for it. I think it was $4,400 that it sold for, and I got it for $2,000 for this one. So it's an expensive book, even in this really rough shape. But it doesn't look too bad. I mean, if the photocopy, you can tell it's been added, right? You can see the line where you can see that line where there's the photocopy and the original. But actually, they did a good job of sneaking it in there to make it look as complete as possible. So yeah, so I enjoy this book. This is Detective Comics number 40. And it's the first cover appearance of the Joker. The key point about this book, and the reason I was actually kind of willing to buy it, was the fact that the one thing that was cut out was Robin, not the Joker. If the Joker was cut out, then it wouldn't really be there would be no reason to buy it. But because the Joker is complete, I was happy with it. This is also a Bob Kane cover. And so you got the back page missing, the back cover missing, but kind of, it's not too bad looking back. despite the fact that the back is missing. So yeah, just a really great book. So Detective Comics number 40 from 1940, June 1940. So that has been my these are all pretty big books. And I hope you enjoyed it. This is my Streyflexin comic unboxing. Again, thanks for watching. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe. And bye for now.